Okay, see how you guys asked for it, so I'm gonna bring it to you. This is gonna be a little video tutorial for you beginners on the very basics in colored pencil use. We were gonna go from shading to blending, burnishing, layering. I've got two examples for you there. With shading, you're basically going from dark to light. That's all value scale. So your darker value is going to be over here, and you're just going to fade out to a lightest hue or a lightest value. So, we're just going light to dark, dark to light. Blending, you're going from one color into another, creating another color in the middle. Burnishing, this example is going to be just one color with white on top of it to give it a nice shiny effect. And if I change my lighting a little, you might be able to see a little more shine. And then the first layering example is layering two colors at one time to create this more visually interesting color. It's a little deeper, just a little bit more appealing, a little bit more complex. And then this one is an example of layering three colors. So once again, just a slightly more complex, visually appealing fourth color for that. So let's start with the shading. And for this one, I'm just, of course, Prismacolor. This is my violet blue. And I actually like to work from dark to light. And I'm starting off fairly even-handed. And then when I wanted to get to the lighter section, I'm just going to ease up on my hand pressure and let it fade into the paper. And then as I come back, I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure with my pencil so you get the darker value. And then I'm going to go over it one more time. Heavier pressure here, starting to lighten up towards the middle. Lighten up a little bit more, blend it into the paper. Easy peasy. So see, dark to light, we're looking good. Okay, blending, again, I'm going to start with my violet blue because it's in my hand. And this one, once again, we're essentially going from one color into another, and the middle hue is your transitional color. And obviously I used very extremes just so you can see what we're talking about here. So again, I'm starting with one, even pressure the whole way. And then I'm going to grab my other color, which I'm using Prismacolor Crimson Red. And same thing. Even pressure with your hand. And you go right on top of your violet blue. Now you can do it, and see it already looks good, but we can go over each shade in the same order again. Even pressure. And then back with our red. And there you go. And then to fade it out just a little bit more because there was too much of a line there, I'm going in light-handed as if I was up here fading into the paper. Instead of fading into the paper, I'm fading into the next color. And I'll do the same with the red. Just lighten up on my hand pressure a little bit and fade it in. And moving on to burnishing, this is always a fun one and extremely popular. For this one, I'm going to switch over to my, oh no, I'm going to use violet blue again. This one, just for time's sake, I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure than I would have previously. I like to work in lots of light layers. You don't have to. But if you don't work in light layers, you'll get more of this effect where it's faster and a little easier. So we want to get a decent amount of color down on the paper. And I'm going in with my white to get this nice shiny effect. It actually feels a little velvety. And for burnishing, you want to go in with a heavier hand. So, and a lot of people prefer to do circles. I like to end with circles. So I'll do more of a cross hatching with my pencil with a lot of pressure. You don't want to break your pencil lead or anything or hurt your fingers, but you do want to apply a good bit of pressure. And now I'll go in the other direction to help fill in those little white spots from the paper showing through. And I do have some little lines in there that I will now remove with a circle motion. And I like to do overlapping circles, so you don't end up with circles lines. So there's burnishing for you. See the difference between the two? That's what a little extra white will do. You can also burnish with a similar color palette or whatever you're working with. I'm just going to burnish this side with a lighter blue. It's ultramarine. And same technique as we did with the white pencil. We're just using a blue one. I'm going in heavier handed. I like to do my little cross hatching and then finish off with circles to get rid of any line marks. And see, that one's burnished. You filled in most of the white spaces from the paper showing through. Can't really see it with my camera, but it is shinier. But it's done with a color rather than white or your colorless blender. I think I've said in a couple of posts, I really don't use the colorless blenders. No real reason. I just prefer, I'm a color junkie. I just prefer to use my colors. So, okay. First layering, we're doing a layering with two colors. Ultramarine is over here, and peacock blue. Yeah, peacock blue over here. And layering the two together is what gives you this third color. And not to get confused with the blending up top, I have these two colors on either side, really just to show you what I started with and what the end result is. We're not fading one into the other, it's just the combination of the two. And I'll show you that over here. So with an even pressure, and I like to do light layers, so I'm using a light-handed pressure. Sorry, let's see if I can keep my camera stable. There's a couple light layers. I like to go in, again, cross-hatching like. So here I'm going horizontally with my peacock blue. And you guys don't have to do it this way. It's whatever, play with it. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever gives you the end result you're looking for. But there's another light layer. And I'm going to go in again. This time I think I'll go diagonally, just for kicks and giggles. There's another light layer. This one's with the ultramarine blue. I'm going to go back with my peacock blue and go in the other diagonal way. And really, it's rinse and repeat until you get the effect that you're looking for. One tip with this, the last color on top, and this also applies to the next little layering issue or bit, whatever color ends up on top, that's the main color that the eye will register. So when you're looking at your image, when you're done with it, whatever color was used last, whichever one is on top, that's what your eye will see. Notice here I'm going in with my peacock blue, and watch the color change just a little bit. It's a little bit more green than it had been. And now I'm going in with my final color, which is the ultramarine. Again, we're still doing light layers. And this cooled it off a little bit more and made it seem more blue. So that's layering with two colors. we layered with the ultramarine and the peacock to come up with this third color, which I actually like quite a bit. And layering 2, we're going to try to do 3 colors. And again, I only have these out here just so you can see what we started with and what we combined to create this color. So this is ultramarine, peacock blue, and violet blue, or blue-violet. Violet blue. So I'm going to start with my ultramarine. Sorry, I got a little sloppy there. But nice light layer. And then I'll switch over to my peacock. Another light layer. And now I'm going to go in with my violet blue and do another light layer. And notice how that color changes just a little bit with each layer. Now I'll go in again with my ultramarine. Light layers, guys. Light hands, light hands. And peacock blue. And I'm layering in the same order that I had done the first time. And as the hue changes, you can change your order or add another color, whatever you need to do to get the end result that you're looking for. And this is my violet blue. And I'm going to go in with ultramarine once more. Still light layers. And I liked it a little bit more green looking, so I'm going to do one last layer with peacock blue. And what the hell, let's burnish this one. I do have some little white spots in there. I personally hate that. I like full saturation, so I'm going to burnish my whole little square here with the white pencil. And like I said, a lot of people like to burnish with circles, small circles, and I like to make sure I'm really getting into each of those grooves of the paper. So I prefer a cross hatching, but again, it all depends on whatever you're comfortable with, whatever works for you. Maybe it depends on the paper you're working with. And don't forget, heavier pressure with your hand. And that's kind of polishing everything and mashing those layers of color together. And now I'm going to finish with my little overlapping circles. Just so we get rid of any of those pencil streaks or marks. All right. And there, we just burnished essentially this square. I think it looks pretty good. I like that color. Kind of similar to the hue of the car that I'm working on for you guys too. So, okay guys, one last pass through. Shading, dark to light. Blending is when you're going from one color into another. It's a transitional color. Burnishing, this side was burnishing with the same color family. This side was burnishing with white. Gives it that nice velvety texture, makes it nice and shiny, fully saturates the paper. The first layering was just the peacock blue and the ultramarine to create that third color very nicely. And the second example of layering was layering 3 colors, which can also be applied to more colors, though I don't recommend much more. Well, if your layers aren't super light, I don't recommend much more than 3 or 5 different shades. But 3 colors into one, and then we burnished it with the white pencil. and that was our end result. Thank you guys. I hope this helps a little bit. Happy drawing!